Bottom line up front. What's going on, y'all? It's a question, just like the word question, but without a not. Bottom line up front, gotta get back into the research. So, a couple things have happened, a couple things have changed. It's been a little bit since I've seen you, since I've talked to you. So I'm a little excited to see how everybody's been, how everybody's doing. Mm. One of the things that I did do, and I'm quite excited about, completed my degree. So that's been definitely something on my mind. I'm happy about, glad that it's done. I was going through my final two classes these past few weeks, and it was definitely tough. It was definitely challenging. It was definitely one of those things. So, but beyond that, though, had some other things going on. A couple irons in the fire. I want to go through it a little bit, or at least kind of touch on some of my lessons learned. Right. So, as of Monday of this week, I reached out to, well, I found out on Monday, but I reached out to a broker in Atlanta. We did a little bit of back and forth, paperwork, things of that nature. Ultimately, the deal fell through. And I asked, like, hey, so what was is there anything that I could have done that would have changed the deal, or is there anything I should have done earlier, faster, more research? He was like, no, none of that stuff. Like everything you sent, like made sense. It was all good. It looked great. The caveat was just that the owner wanted um, an insider because what they were doing and what they didn't actually spell out in their initial offering was we want to sell off all of our manufacturing equipment to another manufacturing agency so that we can use our building. Because they did state that in the offering, like, hey, we have a building, we're going to lease it to the new owner, which I thought was kind of, a little hokey, but okay, cool. You're retiring, but you want to keep the building and rent it out. All right, got it. And so, with that being said, it was okay. We'll play the game and see what happens. Anyway, spoke with the broker. He was very informative. Was glad to hear from me and was like, "Hey man, you had the most unique name." And so I just didn't know if I needed to, like at the pace in which everything was going, he was trying to catch up to everything. And so, one, always do your follow ups. Like I did multiple follow ups. I had contingencies in my follow up. I sent him a couple emails. They responded, I think, to one. The third one I called. The number I had wasn't a good number. I had to do some digging to find the actual number. Reached out, got a hold of him, and if I hadn't got a hold of him, I was going to be reaching out to his client. And actually, I take that back. I did reach out to the client. The client was, and it wasn't the client; it was the client's secretary. The secretary was unbeknownst to a lot of things, so I definitely thought that was interesting. So, but he did let me know that he has a partner that wants to work with me. They're going to be sending me some documents, and we'll go forward from there. So all good, man. And then and then I graduated, or at least I haven't walked across yet and got my diploma yet. But they sent me the email like, "Hey, congratulations, you completed your degree." Da, 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 da. So pretty excited about that. But then that happened. Um, of course, spend time with the family, all of those things. Enjoyed the weekend and all of that stuff, and got back to work. That's one of the things that I try to keep in mind. And even with that feeling like a setback, it really was a lesson that taught me, like, okay, when you're moving, move fast. The great thing is you have a lot of the research. So I just showed y'all at the beginning the IBIS Word Report. The IBIS Word Report. Um, there's some agencies that'll give it to you for free. There's some agencies that charge you a subscription fee, and then you can be provided it for free, or you can go straight to the IBIS site and purchase one. But any industry that you're in, they're going to create a report. Basically, what it is a not a survey, but it's basically the past 5 years and the next 5 years projections of your industry. Right? So, you start going through your report, and it's like 50 or 60 pages. Some you make your notes, things of that nature. So these are just different notes that I've made as I go through the report. I'm reading numbers. Talk about national averages. They have the national side of the industry, and they look at the state side of the industry. And so it just depends on what industry you're in. Yeah. You've heard people mention the NAICS or the NAICS code, so that's what they base it off of. It's off of the NAICS code. So, and I think that's North American Industrial Classification System. I want to say is what that stands for. So it definitely matters what you're doing, and it definitely matters how you are doing it, because it really bothers me. And this is a little rant now, but it bothers me that you will see people that say, "Oh, um, I had no idea." Like, "Oh, how did you get into this business? How did you get in this industry?" Or whatever the case, right? You hear that, and you will hear people say, "Oh, I just opened up the book one day and it was right there. I did a quick Google search and it was what I wanted to do." And so I just like, no, man. Like, I actually put some effort into this. I put into what I was trying to do. I thought about the plan and the vision in which I was trying to go. I used that vision to formulate a 5 year plan, a 3 year plan, a 1 year benchmark, right? Uh, Next 3 months, what am I trying to do? Things of that nature. And you start going after that. So it does get frustrating when I see people just like stumble upon something. Not nothing against them, but it's just like a lot of times it's a lot of hard work that goes into this. But I will say this though, I told my brother, I said, man, people gonna say, man, Q, you done, Mr. Van, how you do it? You just, hey, man, lucky, I got luck, luck. No, God by my side gave me the vision, told me to execute, and then I just been doing what I've been doing. Right? I learned how to recruit. I learned how to give orders. I learned how to create frictionless systems. Right? So you learn how to create lesson plans and things of that nature. You learn how to teach. All that stuff is something you've learned in your life. Not necessarily you specifically, but me specifically. I have, and I just use that stuff. I use that stuff to my advantage because I don't have. Uh, a venture capitalist right down the street from me, right? I don't have an Ivy League step up. Like, listen, regular education, come out of Oak Cliff, Texas, Dallas, Texas, for some of y'all that don't know, right? Been in the Army for 20 years. I just understand that one of the biggest things, I saw this quote on Instagram that said, if you don't understand people, you don't understand business. So, like the whole idea of, I'm going to make a digital marketing company and I don't have to work with people. I just have to digitally market them. Man, for every one of those people you see, a million is either struggling or ain't they'll gave up. You gotta know people. That's one of the things that like I may be standoffish at times when people see me, but the moment you speak or the moment I speak, it's all smiles. Unless you've given me a reason to not be smiling, but beyond that, though, it's all smiles. I enjoy my days, I enjoy my life, I enjoy my family, all of that. And so, just a lot of hard work. So anyway, I'm ranting at this point. So let's go back to let's just do these things structured. All right, a couple things. Two companies. All right, you want to go with your manufacturing unit, and you want to go with your professional services unit. Right now, there's a million different ways to do this. Maybe you say, I don't like manufacturing. I want to go landscape. I don't like professional services. I want to go software. Okay, cool. But two companies, whatever it is that you're good at, that you're interested in, that you want to get into, that you're involved in, whatever it is, that you do two companies. And you want to structure them in a sense that you have one hard, one soft. And what I mean is manufacturing is going to be the hard skill set, right? And then, of course, professional services is going to be the soft skill set. The reason why you want those two is you want to be able to have them work for each other. Okay. And then at some point, you're going to structure it to where one of them is going to be paying the other for services. Technically, or at least in my specific point of view, the hard services company is going to be paying your soft services company for soft services. Right? Every hard service business needs soft services. You need printers, you need printing, you need ink, you need consulting, or you need structuring, or you need just different things, training, SOP creation, things of that nature. And so you're 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 cutting sheet metal. What do you know about structuring SOP? I can tell you what I do to get my job done correctly, but when it comes to creating the actual SOP to doing that, I don't, how do I just put it on paper? What do I do? Like, there's a process to all this stuff, right? Because you want to create those types of things so that the brand new person, when they show up, they know what they're doing, or at least they have a safety mindset of how to get that job done specifically. And don't bother me. I had some time off today. I wanted to go to my favorite little spot, grab me some coffee, man, and just sit there. I just wanted to do a little scenery change, I guess you could say. Um, but okay, let's go back. You structure your two companies, right? Your manufacturing company and your professional services company. These are going to be your hard and your soft companies. Now, the concern is that your manufacturing company, it needs to have enough revenue segments, right? Different ways that you make money, that you're not totally dependent on one customer or one set of customers, right? So you look at commodities. Commodities in manufacturing is going to be what the little live, laugh, love signs that people order, bottle openers, little trinkets that you sell at farmers market and stuff like that. Commodities, right? And you have the commercial side where you have a specialty with HVAC units or HVAC companies. So you already have a built-in relationship with HVAC companies, and you help them when they're repairing their HVAC units because they need sheet metal for reparations. Then yes, okay, so that's your second segment, and then government contracting, because in every hard company, you want government contracting. You want to always be looking for any contracts that the government is willing to pay for those hard subsidies, those hard products. Now, your soft services company is going to be able to offer certain things to the government contractor as well. But first and foremost, you want those hard, actual revenue streams coming from government contracting, because those are going to be your dependable. Those are going to be where they're a little bit more difficult to get. But if you have a good unit, then it's not going to be as complicated as if you off the street don't have any idea of what you got going on. So you have that. Now you go to your professional services unit. That professional services is going to break it down into a couple of different things, right? Of course, consultation, and that consultation, that in and of itself is going to be the key that unlocks exponential revenue streams. Not because like consultants or government cutback, that's not the reason why. Because what I can teach you through consultation, I can multiply infinitely with the phone. And that's what that boils down to, right? And if I can multiply that exponentially, then that means I can sell it exponentially. So that's where you start to hockey stick. Now, the second piece to that is acquisitions. Now, here is where exponentiality transcends and leverage catapults. But at the same time, just like a parlay, right? If you betting 12 legs on a parlay, one leg can tank the whole thing. So that's why you keep your company separate, hard and soft, and you keep your segments separate. Because This is where you can really get tripped up. Now, the great thing about acquisitions, though, even if the value of the acquisition itself, you buy a company for 2 million, and now it's all of a sudden valued at 1.2. So it means you lost 800,000. Not necessarily because it's a company that you acquired. That's going to be your. That's where you're going to have to consult your tax professional and things of that nature. But you still have the acquisition, and so you can still leverage off of that. So this is where things start to get real fun and interesting. So it's a very interesting prospect moving moving ideas onto paper and then paper into pockets. Okay, and so that's one of the things that I've been working on. Or just a few of the things I've been working on. The crazy thing, is even though this last year didn't work the way I wanted it to work, I have a couple that are working right on the subsequent, right? So that's the fun part. But the great thing, man, like I'm still an active duty soldier in the United States Army. I retire next year, so I'm almost done. But this process is so fun and interesting to see. It's frustrating at times. Being an entrepreneur is definitely not for the weak because you can definitely, there are several different points where you can give up and just say, nah, I'm good. Like, I'm just gonna get a job and blah, blah, blah. And nothing wrong with that. Perfectly fine to do those types of things. But I love what's my man in I love the hustle, man. It's and I have sold everything. I remember selling my services as a gas pumper. Now, for people in New Jersey, you don't understand, but in Texas, you pump your own gas. Unless you ran into me as a kid, then I would pump your gas for you for a couple of dollars. So, I've sold everything. I won't say everything, but I've sold a lot of things. I wouldn't say I'm a good salesman, but I would say that if I like the product, if I love the product, then I'm going to be a great salesman. But I got him out of there. A little tear. A little tear. Mm. All right, let me get on out of here. Um, let me see, is there anything else I want to cover? You gotta do a lot of research, guys. Like girls, guys, you need to understand your customers. You need to understand the market of your customers. Right? Am I selling my commodities to older people that are thrifting and antiquing, or am I selling to college kids that are getting into something vintage? Am I selling my higher skills to the government as Air Force, or is it like maybe a certain company within the Air Force? Like, it's a lot of things that you need to really look into. And the crazy thing is, though, when you start by yourself and you set systems by yourself, when you start to grow, you give it to your contracting expert, you give it to your business development expert, so that way they can focus on the things that you've been scatterbrained about, and not necessarily scatterbrained, but you just have to prioritize your attention in certain ways. But then now you can prioritize your attention on the one thing that you're working on, which it could be anything that you're working on, whether it's just I want to spend time with my family only. Okay, but if you're looking at building a major business, a big business, your family's got to be prioritized as well. And so there's a whole process in which you can do that. I might talk about that one day too, but a lot of that stuff is really just. I remember the first time somebody explained to me that you're never going to be ready for a child until you have a child, and it didn't really register. Like I think I had dogs at that time, and it's kind of like, yeah, you got dogs, but you can't really. The big thing about dogs that they compare to kids is you can't just up and leave, you know, without considering what you're going to do with your kids or what you're going to do with your dog, right? So that I see that comparison, but ultimately it's completely different because now you have a person that's moving around you that needs to be cared for you, or that needs to be cared for, but beyond just housing, clothes, and food, you want them to grow into great and fundamental people, right? Some people just want their kids to be happy and healthy. Some kids want their kids to be the next president or whatever it is that you want. But whatever it is that you're trying to get your child to do, or that you want them to have a foundation for doing, it starts when they're children, when you raise them. And a lot of times, subsequently, for men like myself or other you all that are watching the channel, it happens when you're in your 30s and 40s and you also trying to build a business or you're trying to build a career. And nothing against that, but you got to prioritize. All right, so splurge on the next family vacation because you've been busting your ass this last quarter, right? Things of that nature. So that's the thing, man. So that research piece, like when it feels like it's not a lot going on, you have a conversation with somebody that may not know where you are. You're not necessarily telling them the whole playbook, but you're just talking to them about it, and they're just with the pie face. They don't really understand. Like, well, but how do you know all that? It's just like, bro, I just be reading a bunch of stuff, read articles, read research papers, join organizations, get to know different things, right? Start talking to different people, and then it just it's like water, right? That's what Bruce Lee said. Be like water. So, but okay, let me go ahead and shut this thing down. I'm Quested, just like the word question, but without an I. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. The bottom line at the bottom this time. Enjoy the rest of your day.